The Devil's Advocates, tackling the issues you're not allowed to talk about at the dinner table on the Mike 92.1 and the Mike921.com.
Welcome back. We are the Devil's Advocates, joined by a very special guest, Wisconsin's 3rd District Congressman Ron Kind. Ron, are you in Washington, D.C. right now, or back here in Wisconsin?
Well, hey, guys, I'm in Washington, and it's an honor to be on your program, especially in its infancy. I think this is your first week, and it's exciting. Good luck.
Well, thank you, Ron. You've been around for a few years. I interviewed you back in the mid-'90s, sir. Both Dom and I were your constituents. We're both lacrosse guys.
Oh, that's great. And now you're in the greater Madison area. We miss you. Don't forget to visit us in western Wisconsin.
Well, I was thinking about running for mayor up there, but my wife won't let me relocate.
Well, you'd be one of about 12 right now going for that position.
I'd be a strong candidate, Ron.
Yeah, exactly.
Ron, let's turn to local politics. You wrote a letter January 17, 2013, asking our fair Governor Scott Walker to consider expanding BadgerCare. I'd like you to address the letter you sent to him and some of the statistics it contained, if you would, sir.
Well, this is really a no-brainer. It's part of the Affordable Care Act. It's all completely paid for, and it offers the governors, like Governor Walker, the option of taking some additional Medicaid funding for BadgerCare in Wisconsin, which has been a very popular and successful program, and being able to extend coverage for another 125,000 of our citizens. And when you're talking about the BadgerCare population, the vast majority of them are children in low-income families, individuals with disabilities, seniors in nursing homes. This would allow the governor to take the additional funding, which will be paid for 100% by the federal government for the first 3 years, and then gradually there will be a small state cost share, but only as low as 10% in the future. And that's why a lot of Republican governors around the country are taking this deal, and they're looking to expand coverage for a very tough population that's difficult to cover right now. But listen, the costs are already built in. Either the governor does this or healthcare providers will have to swallow the hidden costs due to uncompensated care, or they're going to be shifting the costs of covering these individuals onto people with healthcare plans. So, and I hope the governor doesn't make the decision just based on partisan or ideological reasons. He's a governor. He's got to run the state. He's got to be practical. Our healthcare providers are asking him to do it. This just makes sense, and I'm encouraging him to follow the lead of many other conservative Republican governors around the country right now.
Ron, you point out in your statement to Governor Walker that you anticipate Wisconsin would actually spend 0.6% less on Medicaid between now and 2022 if the state would actually incorporate this expansion of Medicaid.
Yeah, it's true. It's because of the additional coverage, but also it ends the cost shifting that happens right now within our own state. Everyone knows the most difficult population to try to cover are low-income children, individuals with disabilities, seniors in nursing homes. This is the population that we're talking about. And under the Affordable Care Act, the Health Care Reform Bill, we came up with an option for governors to be able to expand their Medicaid coverage in Wisconsin. That's called BadgerCare, cost-free. The federal government will pick that up for the first 3 years, and then our cost share will remain as high as 90% well into the future. You will not find a cheaper or more cost-effective way of covering these people in any state than what's being offered today. And that's why, again, governors like Jan Brewer down in Arizona, Governor Martinez in New Mexico, even Utah are accepting this deal given to them because they know that as a state, they can't do this on their own. But the other point I would emphasize, guys, is this is all completely paid for. The Health Care Reform Bill was paid for, and the Congressional Budget Office says that with the reforms and changes we made, it would actually reduce our overall budget deficit by $1.2 trillion over the next 20 years. So if they're worried about this increasing the deficit, they shouldn't, because this actually, the overall health care package, reduces it by over $1 trillion.
You're listening to the Devil's Advocate Show. We have Congressman Ron Kind from the La Crosse area joining us today. Ron, it seems to me like a lot of this has to be pure politics when we look at Scott Walker's prior attitudes about the Affordable Care Act. Do you think that Scott Walker is just trying to position himself for a future presidential run, perhaps, without speculating on his political future? Is this partisan in that he doesn't want the taint of accepting any sort of Obamacare while he's the conservative governor that everyone seems to love here in the Midwest.
That's my concern. And again, this is not unlike the creation of health insurance exchanges that Governor Walker rejected, and which is unfortunate because it was based on legislation that I had previously offered called the SHOP Act. And every year I introduced the SHOP Act, which would establish these health insurance exchanges in states. I had an equal number of Republicans and Democrats support it because what's not to like? It allows small businesses, family farmers, individuals to go into this health insurance pool, be able to choose amongst competing health insurance plans with complete transparency so you know what you're going to get and how much it's going to cost. And then we couple it with tax credits to help low-income families and small businesses afford the health care coverage that they need. It was very market-based. It was competition-driven. It increases transparency. It's the answer to what many small businesses have been calling for years throughout our country, including Wisconsin. It's something that WMC and the healthcare community embraced and encouraged Governor Walker to do, was establish the exchange the Wisconsin way rather than having a federal agency do it for us. And Governor's rejection of that opportunity, I thought was very short-sighted and misinformed. We can do it in Wisconsin and be a model for the rest of the nation, given our unique status, but the governor rejected the exchange, and I'm afraid he may do the same thing with BadgerCare.
Hey, Ron, if we can get to the national budget, you're a member of the Ways and Means Committee, and on this show I've railed against not having a budget. I've railed against the $800 billion being booked into the budget, and then we just continue on with continuing resolutions. And we're spending so much money, and we have so many issues going on. Can you give us some guidance as to what a reasonable solution might be in the near future?
Well, on the spending side, I think we're going to need comprehensive tax reform to make the tax system simpler and fair. And the president was right during the campaign that it fundamentally was wrong, that we have multimillionaires, multi-billionaires paying a lower effective tax rate than most working families or small businesses are in the country. That has to be adjusted.
So then you think, if I may interject, then you think that a dividend payment or capital gains should be taxed at a personal income rate?
Well, it's not. It's going up 20% from 15%. That was the agreement under the fiscal cliff. So it's going to go up by 5%.
But all the Democrats are saying that it's going to, they want more and more revenue or taxes. So do you think that those are now locked in, or do you think?
Well, I think they are going to be locked in, but there are other areas of so-called tax expenditures. These are the tax breaks, the loopholes that are included in the tax code that we have to go back and revisit. It enables a lot of Fortune 500 companies to pay zero taxes because of all the write-offs that they're able to take that the typical family or the typical small business in Wisconsin can't do themselves. So that's going to have to be revisited. But on the spending side, and this is going to be as important for Democrats and the Democratic Party to realize, and that's the largest and fastest growing area of spending at all levels is rising health care costs. Mm-hmm. So we've got to be serious and focused on what we can do to bring those costs down without jeopardizing the quality and the access of care. I think there's an answer to this, and it's changing the way we pay for health care in our country. So it's based on the value or the outcome of care that's given, and not the volume of things that are done. There was a recent study, guys, that just came out from the Institute of Medicine that showed that we spend over $750 billion every year in our healthcare system on things that don't work. They don't improve patient care. That's throughout the entire healthcare system. So we've got to change that. We've got to be focused on why that is. And one of the main reasons is the overutilization, the unnecessary tests, the procedures, the things that are done that oftentimes leave patients worse off rather than better off. And I know this can be done because we have healthcare providers in Wisconsin that are showing us the way. In fact, we're way out ahead of the curve compared to the rest of the nation when it comes to establishing quality measurements, protocols of care, a better integrated and coordinated healthcare system. And in fact, most healthcare experts say, listen, if the rest of the country was doing what healthcare providers in Wisconsin are, we wouldn't be in this fiscal mess that we are right now. So that's where I think both parties are going to have to be realistic in addressing the real cost drivers, and it's rising healthcare costs, and there's a way of addressing that without jeopardizing quality or the access of care that people need.
Ron Kind, 3rd District Congressman from this great state of Wisconsin, calling in from the District of Columbia right now. Ron, Wisconsin needs you. Would you consider running for governor in the state of Wisconsin in the year 2014? And would you like to make an announcement here on the show today?
Well, let me tell you guys, I think people are so exhausted politically, including myself, given the nonstop campaigning in Wisconsin over the last couple of years, that the last thing they want to be hearing is for anyone to be launching any new campaign at this point, especially following the Green Bay Packers' performance last weekend, which we're still stinging from and have to figure out. But listen, I've got a full plate right now. I am on Ways and Means. We're hoping to be able to address comprehensive tax reform this year. I'm going to continue to offer my voice and leadership on health care reform, which I think is fundamental to getting our economy straightened out too. Because you talk to any business, large or small, and one of the biggest fixed costs they have to face is rising health care, and it makes them less competitive globally too. So we've got a lot of work to do as we move forward.
Ron Kine, fellow lacrosse boy made good. Ron Kine, 3rd District Congressman from the great state of Wisconsin. Thank you very much for all the time you've given us today, Ron.
It was a lot of fun.
Hope to have you back, sir.
All right. Take care.
Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. That was Ron Kine. If you didn't hear it the first time, I told you again. I've been watching Ron for nearly 20 years. I am a Ron Kine fan. I look forward to voting for him for governor in the future at some point. We'll be back after this short commercial break.